It was 1957, the year before I received my Ph.D. from the University of Iowa in Iowa City. I had graduated in bass performance from Eastman, earned 2 master's degrees, and been Gene Krupa's bass player, and had taught and was teaching elementary and secondary school music. Incredibly, the thought of the existence of early childhood music education and how it might be best undertaken never occurred to me. Serendipitously, a delightful young woman was a student in a university class I was teaching for my fellowship. She was a teacher-caregiver in the Child Welfare Research Station, a division of the university. Clarissa was concerned about the quality of music to which youngsters, a few months to 4 years old, in her care were being exposed. In fact, she was unsure whether it had any positive value, if indeed it might be having a negative effect on the children. She asked for my opinion and assistance. I was nonplussed. My bewilderment, which astonished both her and me, was the precipitous introduction to my abiding interest in early childhood music education. Although I was preoccupied with collecting data and writing my dissertation based on ongoing longitudinal experimental research in music aptitude, it was not long before I became an observer in Clarissa's classes, not only when she was engaging in music activities, but on numerous occasions for an hour or two before or after. She had a pleasant voice marred by her out-of-tune autoharp playing. Her pitch was not disturbing, but rhythm left much to be desired. Moreover, emphasis and pronunciation of words to songs took precedence over accuracy of music. Rhythm was unabashedly distorted. I attempted to explain to her obvious difficulties with her presentation, but either I was not clear or she did not have sufficient music background to understand me. The solution was for me to be in charge of the music segment of the morning sessions. I broke a few strings trying to tune the autoharp, and that was a good excuse to relegate it to a distant closet. When instrumental accompaniment occasionally was appropriate, I played baritone ukulele. I sought guidance from colleagues and read books and booklets sponsored by professional organizations. What I uncovered was only a proliferation of daycare centers emphasizing babysitting and academic school readiness with little concern for musical development. Research was sparse and sporadic. What I had already observed in Clarissa's school seemed to be standard. 3- and 4-year-olds were taught as if they were premature kindergarten children. Caregivers were obviously unaware of importance of the critical age, from birth to 18 months, and sensitive age, from 18 months to 5 years, for acquiring a foundation for becoming familiar with and understanding music. Entertainment trumped music education, if the latter held any curiosity or interest at all for teachers. I realized I needed to teach myself about how newborns and extreme young ones learn music, and thus how they appropriately could be taught music. This was the beginning of my undertaking, an approximate 10-year period of observation interspersed with teaching youngsters music. My focus was on overall music developmental processes of babies a few months old, as well as 3- and 4-year-old children. I became an observer, teacher, researcher. The information I accrued turned out to be the precursor of what later was to become music learning theory. I often wondered if Clarissa knew what her innocent question and request had spawned. I became a professor at the university in 1958, with a specialty in teaching experimental research. It was my intent to follow that discipline as a career. That, however, was not to be entirely the case. Why? Because I felt need to write a book about knowledge I had acquired from my teaching and observing experience in Clarissa's school. How Children Learn When They Learn Music was self-published in 1967 and 1968. Charlie Leonhard, who was editing a music education series for Prentice Hall, read the book. He contacted me and asked if I would author a book in psychology of music for the series. It had to be based on what he read. Taking time out from researching activities, I agreed. In 1971, The Psychology of Music Teaching was published. As a graduate student, I had studied general learning theory by several authors. It occurred to me there ought to be a learning theory specific to music and emphasized in the psychology book. Thus, I set out to conduct research in music learning theory alongside continuing research in music aptitude. I had just concluded an 8-year research program for musical aptitude profile and embarked on investigating music learning theory. Much to my delight, music aptitude and music learning theory intertwined. What I learned about one had relevance to the other. As I sustained my teaching and research in early childhood music, it became evident there was a difference between developmental music aptitude and stabilized music aptitude, each having subparts. Children younger than 9 are in the developmental music aptitude stage, and older students the stabilized music aptitude stage. Publication of primary measures of music audiation, intermediate measures of music audiation, and advanced measures of music audiation followed. I had sufficient assistance in gathering research data as a result of directing master's theses and more than 60 doctoral dissertations. Along the way, more books were published incorporating music learning theory research. Perhaps most significant is Learning Sequence in Music, a contemporary music learning theory, first published in 1980 and now in an 8th edition. The first version of a music learning theory for newborn and young children appeared in 1990, and most recent edition, the 4th, is scheduled for publication in 2013. As time permitted, I engaged in developing Iowa tests of music literacy, instrument timbre preference test, and harmonic improvisation readiness record and rhythm improvisation readiness record. I have never lost zeal for what initiated my enthusiasm for music learning theory. Over the years, I maintained a teacher-observer-researcher role in early childhood music education. In fact, I have come to realize an understanding of it is crucial for achieving pedagogical success at all levels of music education. Without music acculturation ideally acquired during the critical age, from birth through 18 months, ability to develop audiation skills is curtailed. The sensitive age, from 18 months to 5 years old, is also a crucial time for learning. In my opinion, unless children have similar informal and formal guidance in music acculturation as they do in language acculturation, they will not understand what music teachers are attempting to teach in kindergarten, first grade, and beyond. The best that can be hoped for is learning about music, not music itself, through entertainment rather than education. Now, at age 85, I can reflect on 55 years of my life in endeavoring to uplift music education. I hope my research accentuating importance of early childhood music education will be lasting alongside that of music aptitude. Establishment of the Gordon Institute for Music Learning, GIML, in the United States and several foreign countries offers increased optimism. With your understanding and assistance as well, my vision could become a reality. Thank you, and I wish you well. Edwin E. Gordon, 2012.